Hi guys, it's Alyssa from Online Fabric Store. Summer's in full swing, so I'm going to show you how to make a linen summer dress that doesn't require a pattern, just your measurements. So let's get started.
The materials you will need are 2 yards of fabric, I'm using linen, a Dritz loop turner, elastic, a safety pin, pattern paper, a ruler, a fabric marker or chalk, thread, scissors, pins or clips, and a sewing machine. Here are some measurements that you will need. Your bust apex, which is the highest point on either sides of the bust, your armpit to the bottom of your ribs, and the bottom of your ribs times 1.5. Draw this shape onto a piece of pattern paper. The top width should be the distance between the bust apexes, the bottom width is the bottom of the ribs times 1.5, and the distance between the two should be your armpit to the bottom of your ribs. Also measure from the apex to the bottom of your ribs. Mark these points on your pattern paper by dividing the distance between the apexes in half and plotting them on either side of the direct center. Make sure they are only as far away from the bottom of your ribs as you measured. These spots will be your dart tips, so make sure that they are marked appropriately. Your dart should be 1/4 inch for every 5 inches long your bust panel is. That would make each of my darts 1 inch. So I'm going to make a notch 1/2 inch from either side of the dart tip. Cut the bust panel out of the pattern paper. True the darts by folding down the center line of the dart and making sure the notches line up. Also, measure the distance around your waist and the length you want the skirt to be from the bottom of your ribs. Always pre-wash and iron your fabric. Use the pattern paper to cut out the bust of your dress. Cut 2 strap pieces that are 3 by 60 inches each. Also cut out 2 panels for your skirt. Each panel should be 1.5 times the width of your waist by the length of the skirt plus 1/2 inch to each measurement for a seam allowance. If you want your dress to have more body, cut these pieces so that the bottom edge is 1 to 5 inches wider than the top edge. Cut 2 1 by 3 inch strips of fabric. Lastly, cut out 4 pocket pieces. For details, see our How to Add Pockets tutorial. Sew your darts into the bust of your dress. For more information, see our How to Sew Darts tutorial for details. Fold the top edge of the bust panel in 1/4 inch and sew. Fold the straps in half lengthwise and clip. Sew up the open edge and turn the strap right side out with a Dritz loop turner. Do this to both straps. Take the 1 by 3 inch pieces of fabric and repeat the same process.
Sew the smaller strips about 1/4 inch away from the bottom and the edge of your bust panel.
Make sure when you sew the straps on not to sew these pieces down.
These smaller loop pieces are for holding the straps of the dress so you can wrap them over your shoulder and through the loops before tying them in the back.
Make sure they lay pretty flush against the material. Then pin the straps along the edges of the bust panel so that the excess fabric is all facing towards the top of the dress. This will become 2 adjustable straps that you can tie in all different ways. Sew the straps along the inner edge. I placed my bust panel so that it was in line with the center of the strap seam. Pin and sew a 1/2 inch channel on the top of the back piece. Hem the bottom of the panels by folding in the edge 1/4 inch twice and sewing. Now decide how far down you would like your pockets to be. Mark and then pin and sew the pocket pieces to the skirt panels. Make sure you are sewing the right panels to the right sides so that they'll match up when you bring all the pieces together. Add box pleats to the front panel the exact distance apart as your darts. If you've never made box pleats, see our How to Make Box Pleats tutorial for full instructions.
Also, add a few more pleats so the width of the panel is the same as the bottom edge of the top panel.
A good rule of thumb for this is to make the outer edges lay where your pockets should sit. I ended up with 4 pleats, but you could make more or less depending on how large you decide to make them. Take a piece of elastic that when stretched gently is slightly longer than the back of your ribs. Attach a safety pin to both ends and string one end through the channel you just made in the top of the back piece. Sew the ends of the elastic 1/4 inch away from the edge of the panel on both sides. Clip together the bust panel and the front panel with right sides facing. Make sure the bust is centered on the piece so the pleats and the darts match up. Sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, clip the back side of the skirt to the front side with right sides facing. Make sure the pockets are lined up and sew down the side seams and around the pockets. Try on the dress and make sure everything fits right. My dress needed a few minor alterations, but I will detail those in our Maker's Mill blog post.
To prevent fraying, you can serge or use a zigzag stitch on the raw edges before sewing the pieces, or you can use Drit's fray check on the edges after the dress is done. Lastly, give the dress a thorough ironing.
And once you nail down the finishing touches, your dress is ready to go. Thanks for watching this OFS project. Like and subscribe to our channel for more crafting videos, tips, and tricks. See you next time.